When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, happy Thursday, Boise State fans. Welcome on in. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. I think the internet situation is fixed. I blamed Sparklight erroneously yesterday. It was not their fault. So I had too many tabs open and hadn't restarted my computer in like a month probably. So I kind of just reset everything. And I think we're good, Mike. Am I choppy or you got me okay? I think we're good.
So far, so good. You're not any choppier than usual, BJ, early in the morning.
I did shave, so I've got the double chin going again, but we'll try to – maybe that would have been better if it was still a choppy video. But no, appreciate it. Mike Prater, KTIK, 95.3, the ticket. It's been kind of a weird week with our last 10 days or so with Jay being out of town, and we've been shuffling some folks around, but we actually have someone on the day they're supposed to be on, Thursdays. So, Mike, appreciate you waking up early and coming in, man.
You can always depend on me, BJ. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to schedule all kinds of things around Thursday mornings. We'll be here all summer long, my friend.
Well, I filled in for you on the show, so you had no choice but to make sure you were ready to go on Thursday. But appreciate it. We'll take your comments. We'll take your questions. You can reach out through the YouTube channel as well as the Facebook pages of both KTIK and Bronco Nation News. We cannot take questions via Twitter. I don't know why. I think that's a thing StreamYard's working on. But if you're watching on Twitter, if you'd like to interact, you have to go over to YouTube or Facebook. And again, you can do that on our channels or 95.3, the ticket channels as well. So 9 a.m. every morning, we're here talking local sports. So if you're just jumping on for the first time, we hope you'll make this a part of your day. And if you can't listen live, you can go to one of the social media channels later in the day. The archive video is there, as well as the podcast version gets posted audio. If you just go to the Apple Podcast app and just search for Bronco Nation News, it's there as well. So Mike, you're there in the Row Paint Studios downtown. I was in your chair the other day. I hope I didn't screw anything up.
You left it a little messy, but JP's been in here vacuuming all day, so we're good to go there. I appreciate you sitting in, and thank you very much for doing that. Every time I come back, everybody goes, "Why are you back, Prater? Where's BJ? Where's BJ? Where's BJ?" So you do a nice job. We appreciate you. We appreciate the partnership, and thanks for sitting in, my friend.
Yeah, I had like 3 people, during call in and give me kind words, and it cost me like $60 because I had to pay them all out for the kind words. So yeah, we do what we can. Okay, Bro Chill chimes in. I tried the other ways, but YouTube is the easiest. I believe that is correct. There's the YouTube chat right on there. And again, you can do the Bronco Nation News YouTube or the 95.3 the ticket YouTube. So make plans for that every morning, and we're happy for our regulars and those that are checking us out for the first time. We got a lot to talk about today. A busy time, believe it or not, going on in Boise State sports right now. The football team picked up their 3rd commitment in 3 days this morning. They have these camps in the summer, Mike, and that kind of leads to commitments. And I had a guy literally about this time 3 days ago tweet at me very concerned that they didn't have very many football commits and what was going on. The class is ranked 3rd in the Mountain West. Can you believe this? Is there, or should we be concerned? And less than 72 hours later, they've got 3 commits and they're off and rolling.
You know, sometimes those rankings, when it comes to recruiting, it's about quantity, not quality. So if somebody goes off and signs 10 scrubs and Boise State signs 1 4-star guy, the 10 scrubs are going to get that. So
it's also June 23rd.
Yes, you recruiting knuckleheads. Shame on you. It's summertime. Back off just a little bit here. I know BJ loves the recruiting. I don't like recruiting. I don't like to follow recruiting with Boise State or even my own personal favorite football teams. Come on, guys, back off just a little bit.
I don't like it quite as much as I used to back in the day. It was when I first moved here, it was much more exciting. But
Yes.
it is important, and obviously the signing day is not till December, so these are non-binding verbal commitments, but they are in a little bit of a roll. So we'll see if that can continue. You get guys that come visit together, and then when one commits, they get their buddies to commit, and it kind of gets rolling. So we'll pay attention to that. I don't believe the one from this morning has identified himself yet, so check that out on social media, folks, and we'll see if they can keep it rolling there. We're going to talk football, and our question today is going to be the 4 new assistant coaches and how their impact is going to fit in, and what Boise State loses in the 4 coaches that left. But first, Mike, a little basketball news. It was announced yesterday that the basketball tournament, TBT, I love just the blandness of the name there. The basketball tournament. It's a thing that started a couple years ago. It's a summer basketball tournament with professional players that play overseas, mostly alumni teams from colleges, and it's just kind of a basketball fix in the summer. We've seen a 3-on-3 tournament. There's been a couple of these kind of tournaments that have come apart, but this one has a winner-take-all $1 million prize. They tried to do it a couple years ago, but finally Boise State has an alumni team that will be entering this tournament. And I'm a loyal, avid listener. Don't miss a second of Idaho Sports Talk. And I was listening yesterday, and you kind of poo-pooed it a little bit. You're not really a fan of this. Why will you not let folks get excited to watch some of their former stars play again together in the blue and orange?
Well, the former stars that are coming together to play a little basketball, I like the names, and that part itself is kind of fun. My whole personal angst is exactly that. Personal, I'm not going to watch basketball. It's made for TV, summertime basketball, and I'm not going to watch that in the summer. I really don't. I like to get away a little bit in the summertime. I like to get away from sports. There's a couple of other sports that I like to follow, and I've never seen. You know what? I even admitted yesterday on the show, I've never even heard of the basketball tournament. I've heard of the big 3, the Ice Cube, Ice T, whatever the hell.
Allen Iverson or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that thing is. So I've heard of that one. I had never heard of this one. I have since, in the last 24 hours, done some serious research just so I can kind of keep up on it. But I'm not going to watch it. I can't imagine what kind of ratings it gets. I don't know what kind of television access there is early on in this tournament. If Boise State's going to be playing on ESPN U3 at 2:00 in the morning, but because there is a Boise State angle, I'm serious. Because there is a Boise State angle, I'll probably watch one game if it's convenient for me. But you're never going to get me excited about made for television summertime basketball, BJ. Not going to happen. But I know you're a basketball guy.
Come on, commenters. Come on, folks watching on YouTube and Facebook. Let's let Prater have it and tell him how wrong he is. I mean, Derek Marks and Ryan Watkins together again on the court in the blue and orange. I mean, come on, sign me up.
Yeah, some of those guys haven't been there for 7 years. That doesn't mean they can't play basketball. And this is not a personal attack on those guys, their history, what they did.
Well, they play over. They're both playing overseas and things. Here we go. They're coming in now. We got Prater doesn't love Derek Marks like I love Derek Marks.
That's probably true, and that's probably fair. I like Derek Marks. I don't love Derek Marks, and I certainly don't like summertime basketball. So, and I think if you get 10 text messages or 10 messages here during this show, 8 of you suckers are lying because you probably have never watched it either.
Well, you don't have to watch it in the past, but if you're a Boise State fan and you got a chance to, it's different for us being in the media, but if you're a diehard Boise State fan like Derek and these other guys, and you grew up watching the Ryan Watkins and Derek Marks and some of these guys, I mean, more recently, I think they've got Alex Hobbs playing, Montego Alford. There's some other name guys in there, but I mean the 2 headliners are clearly Ryan Watkins and Derek Marks, and I mean those are 2 of the Leon Rice cornerstone players that really helped this program get going when he got here. And so I see why you may not want to like it, but if I'm a season ticket holder or a diehard Boise State fan that grew up going to games there and stuff, and I get a chance to at least for another hour and a half watch Derek Marks and Ryan Watkins play together again, I'm all for it. I think it's pretty cool.
I think there'll be a curiosity factor, and you're right. The BSU hardcores will absolutely watch that. And we'll follow that here on Idaho Sports Talk, as you will as well at Bronco Nation News. We'll get a couple of those guys. I know we've already had some communication and get those guys on the show and talk about that, go down memory lane. I love those stories. I got no problem with that. I'm just not going to be sitting my fat butt on a couch watching basketball in July.
Big Wade says that his headliners would be his favorite guys would be in the over 50 league if they had that.
I would watch Arnell Jones play basketball right now.
Grew up watching Derek. That was back when Taco Bell Arena was rocking. So yeah, we'll see. That's going to be an interesting tournament. And again, it's winner take all for $1 million. and it's single elimination. So you lose once you're done, and they're the 7th seed in their regional down in Albuquerque. So they're going to have, I don't know how they decide all that, but they're going to have a tough road. And there's going to be some events coming up. Ryan Watkins is actually going to join Tuss and I tomorrow, and we'll try to get some details. But they're going to have about a 5-6 day training camp in Boise, and they're going to do some autograph signings. They're going to have a scrimmage, I believe, where fans can come watch and do a meet and greet and some practices. And so they've got to pay several $1,000s, and foot the bill themselves to be able to make this happen. And that could be for, one game. So they're hoping the community steps up, whether it's through donations or some of the merchandise they're selling or things like that to help them out. And so, again, this has been something they've tried to do a couple times before. It hasn't worked out, but they were able to get it done this year. And stay tuned for more details. And if you're a fan of some of these guys, how you can support them and help them out. And like you said, Prater, we'll be following it on the different social media channels. And again, Ryan Watkins will join us tomorrow. And we'll get a little more details on that. Before we get into football, do want to thank a couple of our sponsors, Transportation Compliance Service. Check them out, transcomservice.com. If you're looking to get into the trucking industry, if you're just not happy and you're just looking for a new job, a fresh start, a career change, the trucking industry is a perfect way. You can get out there on the road towing that first load in no time if you use the folks at Transportation Compliance Service. All your permits and things you need to get on the road, there's about 20 steps. And if folks try to do it themselves, they usually flame out and it doesn't work. So let TCS help you get it done. Transcomservice.com. And it's a national company, but it's based right here in the Treasure Valley. So and I know their owners and folks working there are big BSU fans. So support Transportation Compliance Service. Similar with United Commercial Insurance. They're based in the Treasure Valley, but they can write insurance policies, business insurance policies in 44 states around the country. So check them out, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. If you're the owner, if you run the business insurance, the insurance policies for your business, you may think you're in a good spot, but a 5-minute call could save you hundreds of dollars. UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. We appreciate their support of Bronco Nation News. And if you're looking for a new dentist, full family dentistry, you got sometimes it's specialized with the kids or with the parents. Boise Dentistry Co., full family dentistry. Check them out. Those are my kids on the screen there. I've told you time and time again, but they don't smile very often. So Dr. Meinert is doing something right. And we love our time there at Boise Dentistry. So check them out online, BoiseDentistryCo.com, and it's locations across the Treasure Valley, and they're adding new locations in the future. So we appreciate Boise Dentistry Co. as well. And if you're looking for, nobody likes going to the dentist, Prater, but they try to make it as fun as they can.
Nice. I like that. Did they get the lollipop at the end of give you a lollipop?
I think they do. Nice. Big Wade, by the way, also chiming in. Shamrick Williams would be on his team. He wants Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, buddy. That would be the over 50 league might be more entertaining. You're probably right about that.
Let's get Chris Childs in there as well.
There you go. Is Tanaka Beard 50 yet? I don't know.
I don't know if he's 50. Yeah, no, he might be pushing 50, but I had a chance to talk to him a couple of months ago at the Big Sky tournament, and he's still very much fit. He can hang with the 20-year-olds.
I was hoping we might see Reggie Larry, come out and play on this team. He's now coaching at CSI on the women's side, I believe. So it may not have worked out for him. And I'm sure there was a lot of interest, and they, only can take 8 or 9 guys. And so I know some folks were disappointed Anthony Drimmick wasn't on this list, but I think the Australian season might overlap with this. There's some guys that are playing that couldn't quite commit to this. Maybe that, roster can change closer to the tournament if some guys finish their playoff runs or things like that. But as of now, would that have made it more exciting for you if you had Drimmick and Marks back together again?
I would love to have seen Drimmick play. Yeah. I mean, I would watch that for sure. But again, I would probably just more of a casual fan checking it out for the curiosity factor. And Reggie Larry's coaching this team, isn't he?
Oh, maybe he is. Maybe I missed that. Yeah, I guess he probably is. Why isn't he playing?
Yeah, I don't know why he's not playing, but I did see that he's coaching this team. So
yeah,
even the coaching staff's got a little bit of a BSU flavor. I kind of like that as well.
Yep, there you go. He is coaching it. I just looked straight through the players list. You have okay, so it's being organized by Thomas Bro Play and Wes Perryman, and Anthony Thomas and Reggie Larry are coaching. And then I forgot to mention Thomas Bro Play, Kevin Allen, another former player that had a quick stop here. So we'll be following that. And again, tomorrow we'll have Ryan Watkins on there. So we're counting down, Prater, the 25 biggest questions, storylines, however you want to look at it, going into fall camp, going into the football season. And we had our players list, which was more just specific to the players. Now we're looking more broadly at position battles and things like that, the schedule, group of 5 race, the Mountain West race, all that stuff. And so I kind of build this as a 5-week series where if you don't know anything about Boise State football, by the time we get to the first day of fall camp, you hopefully have a better understanding idea, basic idea of what's going on with the team heading into fall camp. And they did have a decent amount of coaching changes. You always have some coaching changes after, when there's a new coach that comes in. But I mean, 4 after year 1 of the Andy Avalos era was a little high. And, some of that was Andy Avalos making some changes. Some of that was some guys wanting to move on to better opportunities. Some of it was billed as the coaches wanting to step down and look at other directions when it really was Andy Avalos having a better option. I mean, you can bill it publicly however you want, but 4 new assistant coaches coming in for year 2 of the Andy Avalos era. And that is our question topic today. How will the 4 coaching changes at the assistant coaches impact the Boise State football team moving forward? So we're just going to look at the 4 guys that left, the 4 guys that came in to replace them, and kind of just, see what we think there. We'll start with Stacey Collins leaving, goes to Penn State. He was a new guy last year, Mike. We all loved talking to him. Was kind of an old school football coach, was one of the older coaches on staff. And, he was a guy that I think did some things while he was here, and we all love talking to him. But he gets an opportunity that nobody in their right mind can fault him for leaving. He gets to go to Penn State, and this is a guy that was coaching NAIA D2 D3 a decade ago, and here he is now going to Penn State. So good for Stacey Collins. Nobody was questioning that. And some of the roles change a little bit, but the basic replacement for Stacey Collins is Kelly Papinga, who comes in as the edge coach and the co-special teams coach. And Kelly was at Virginia for the last 6 years, 4 of which he was the co-defensive coordinator. We'll start there, Mike Broadley. What do you make of Collins leaving and Kelly Papinga coming in?
That might be the one area. And just for a little bit of background, Keith Bonaparte Andy Avalos hired Keith Bonaparte on December 31st, or at least announced it. I know there was a gray area there with some behind the scenes shuffling, but he was announced on December 31st. Nate Potter, we'll get to here in a second, was announced on January 19th. In between, Papinga and DeMario Warren were hired in a 20-day span. And I didn't realize it all happened so fast, but in a 20-day span, I think Andy Avalos changed this football team, and I think he changed it dramatically for the better. Maybe the one area, and we'll go each of these individual hires, but I think the one area where maybe they took a little bit of a step back, because I did like Stacey Collins, and I thought Stacey Collins was a heck of a coach. Kelly Papinga comes in with a nice resume, and I think he's going to be a good addition to the hire, but I can't sit here and say that they improved that position. He's going to coach edges. He's going to be a co-special teams coach with Keith Bonaparte. I think Kelly Papinga, knowing the area that he does, coming from the BYU, having the Mendenhall influence, I think is all very important. He's also from Evanston, Wyoming. I've never met a human being from Evanston, Wyoming that wasn't rough, tough, and successful, and determined and proud. And those are all the things you want in a football coach. So I think Kelly Papinga is going to be good, but I have to wait and see a little bit, because I think the Stacey Collins loss was a big one, BJ.
No, I agree. But I mean, Kelly Papinga, 6 years at Virginia, Power 5 school, and 4 as the co-defensive coordinator. I guess with Mendenhall retiring right at Virginia, that kind of puts some of those guys in limbo, and you're able to get them back out on this part of the country. And I agree with you on that. I think the verdict is out. I mean, the edge position. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like the tight end position. I mean, you're coaching 6-7 guys. It's in all, looking big picture wise, it's not the most important position on the team. No. And they did kind of change the D end and the edge. So now you kind of have both those positions wrapped up into one. So it's basically just edge rushers now. So guys that come off both sides. But I think special teams will be the interesting part, and he's the co-special teams coordinator. We'll get to Keith Bonaparte, who was listed as the special teams coordinator. But we'll see how that kind of shakes out. But Kelly Papinga, one of, I would say he's the, second most experienced of the 4 on this list that comes in. But you are, replacing a guy that is a football lifer. And I think Stacey Collins was only here 1 year. We didn't get a chance to know him great, but the times that we talked to him and saw him, I really do think he knew what he was talking about. So I think that'll be an interesting one. Stacey Collins, good luck at Penn State. And he was able to, I stayed on it, and Penn State wasn't wasn't making him available, and I ripped him on social media, and then Collins reached out to me directly and said, hey, let's do an interview, and did it. So I appreciate Stacey Collins, and best of luck to him moving forward. Kent Riddle, another, college football lifer, 30 plus years in coaching, spent 13 years at Boise State, including the last 8. And done a lot of different spots, tight ends, running backs, special teams was kind of his forte as well. Has been at Boise State with, 3 different head coaches, spanned a lot of different times. And, it was announced that he was stepping down to pursue other opportunities. His son is still on the team. He's still living in town. I've seen him around town, great guy. But that to me, I mean, that's the biggest flip in terms of what you had versus what you're getting is you go to Nate Potter, a guy that's played for Boise State within the last decade or so, younger coach, and did some things the last 3 years at Montana State, took him to the FCS playoffs a couple of times. He's seen as an up and coming, great, next star coach potentially, but you're talking like a 20-something year age difference, going from Riddle to Potter, and Nate Potter comes in to be the tight ends coach and also the run game coordinator. What do you make of Riddle leaving and Potter coming in?
Yeah, the Riddle one leaving still bothers me an awful lot, and I'm not sure how much he stepped down. I'm not sure how much he was forced out. We've heard some things, and I guess everybody's just kind of moving on, and I get that. He'd been there a long time. Kent Riddle was not really a great coach at one specific thing, but Kent Riddle was a great coach for your program. He did so many different things behind the scenes. He was almost like your chief of staff. He was almost like the guy that knew where the bodies were buried. He knew all the high stuff, the low stuff, and everything in between. Lots of experience out the door there. And now you bring in a Boise State Hall of Famer and one of only 3 consensus All-Americans this football program has ever produced. He's celebrated, loved, cherished, liked. And he's a young football coach who just a couple of years ago was at the College of Idaho. And then he went to Montana State, as you said, and did some nice things. It's a good rebound, but it's going to take some time to get this sucker fixed, I think. He's going to be the 9th and the 10th contributor on this football team. A tight end coach and a run game coordinator. He's going to have to learn the ropes. If Nate Potter wants to be a professional football coach, and I think at this point he seems like he does, this is going to be the big time start for him. And he's going to have to grow every 5, 10, 15, 20 years in order to build this career. So it's a good replacement. I don't like losing Riddle. I can't wait to see how it plays out. I think Nate Potter is going to be a good coach. I think he's going to connect in terms of technique and the science of the positions that he plays with, just connecting with these guys as human beings. He's really, really, really good at that. So he brings a lot to the table, but I'm still really bummed about that Kent Riddle loss, BJ.
Well, I'll be, just upfront and honest. I think I learned more from a Kent Riddle interview or conversation than any Boise State coach in my 9 years covering the team so far. The technical aspect of it, you could ask questions about some NFL game where there was a punt return and something happened, and you'd say, now how's that work or what's that? And he would have three reasons right away. I can remember a Seahawks fake punt return one time, and we were talking about it, back when my Rams were still in St. Louis, which was a long time ago, and he explained right away how it worked, why they did it, and just from seeing the play once on TV probably. And so I learned more from him and you talk about, there was a couple years there where fans were getting on him. Some of the special teams weren't great. Harsin kind of moved his role around and he became kind of the associate head coach where he was kind of handling the clock management and some of that stuff for Harsin, taking some of the stuff off his plate. As you said, he's had a ton of different hats, a ton of experience. And I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I've Kent Riddle, I've had some conversations with him about potentially helping us out in the fall. Let's just say that I've learned so much from him. I think he would be an awesome analyst of football games. And I know he has a son on the team, which may make that a little complicated and with how it ended at Boise State, but there may be an opportunity once football season rolls around for folks to hear Kent Riddle, on a regular basis on Bronco Nation News. Let's just say that. So
make that happen, BJ.
I guess I got to do it on Thursdays when you can be on as well, but potentially a post-game show. I'll just say that we're working on some pre-post stuff, maybe something during the week. I don't know. We're talking, but he's obviously going to be following this team very closely with his son on the team. And I think that he'd be great for folks to hear from about stuff, offense, defense. I don't think it would matter. Kent Riddle would be able to comment on a football team. And I know he was maybe looking to, do something in the financial world or find something just to do while he's in Boise while his kid was on the team. And he's kind of decided, you know what? I don't need the money. I've worked my tail off for 30 plus years. And so I've bumped into him on the golf course a couple of times. He's I don't think he's, too upset, Mike, that he's not working summer camps and doing all this recruiting this summer.
It's always, you find that golden lining every time something bad happens. And I'm sure he was emotionally upset when it first happened. Again, I don't think it was entirely his decision. Based on what I was told, he took a couple of peeks at some connections and some networking in the NFL and some coaches that he knew back there, and to see if he could find that fit. But I think the standard was pretty high for him because you just said it's time for a break. It's time for family. It's time for summer. Maybe he can just be a dad in the stands and watch his kid play this fall. I'm assuming that's exactly what's going to happen. And there is nothing wrong with that, BJ. So it's a good settlement for him. I just kind of got bummed out that he got I think he got pushed out the door, and it was a fine man. I understand the decisions, and it's big boy football, and it's big time business. And I think Andy Avalos, we trust. I got no problem with that, but from a personal connection, that one hurt a little bit.
Totally agree. Like as I said, he's one of my favorite coaches to talk to, and wishing him the best. And I do hope that there's a chance that we can cross paths here moving forward. Quickly, want to tell you, Bauscher Real Estate, the #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, please support our friend Matt Bauscher at Bauscher Real Estate. The Blue and Orange Store as well. Free shipping on any order over $40. So if you go to the blueandorangestore.com, any order over $40, you get free shipping. And if you're in Boise, just go check them out at the Boise Town Square Mall right next to Pro Image. They got some all the new Nike gear, the retro logoed polos, all that stuff. Check them out, the Blue and Orange Store. And of course, Ridley's Family Markets as well. JL Skinner was out there at a couple of the locations last week. 13 locations across the state of Idaho. I frequent the Cuno location often. Check them out, shopridleys.com, to find the location near you. And they've got the at-home shopping, the Skip app, the home delivery, all that great stuff that has really taken off the last couple of years. So check them out, shopridleys.com. And again, we appreciate Ridley's Family Markets. We got about 5 minutes and 2 to go, so we'll speed it up here a little, Mike. But Jaron Johnson is out and Demario Warren is in. Johnson, obviously, former NFL player, Super Bowl champion, a fan favorite. People loved the hire, but he just kind of realized what all was involved in being a college coach. It's a little different than being a high school coach. And so the recruiting, the hours, the time away from his family, he had his family kind of split in different locations, and that made it just really tough for him. And so after 1 year, he decides to move on to some other opportunities. And Demario Warren comes in as the cornerbacks coach, was the head coach at Southern Utah, but isn't, not an overly experienced guy, at least at the Division I level himself either. So what do you make Johnson for Warren quickly?
Jaron Johnson brought a lot to the table, a massive amount to the table, but it was mostly about life and liberty and the way you play football. It had nothing to do with X's and O's. I don't know that much about Demario Warren except what we've read on his resume. We've met him a couple of times. I like him a lot in terms of what he does. 14 years at one place. That tells me a lot. 6 years there at Southern Utah as the head coach. This is a serious X's and O's upgrade for Boise State football. If they want that position to get better for 3.5 hours on a Saturday afternoon, Andy Avalos made the right choice. Jaron Johnson, he's going to be a great life coach. Let him go off and be his family guy and do what he's got to do. I need Demario Warren to be the X's and O's guy and to make this position better. And I think Boise State did that.
I do think Jaron Johnson, though I said some of the press releases said one thing, and it may not have been exactly what had happened. I do think Jaron Johnson left on his own. Would you say that?
Yes, I 100% agree
with that. You may say it's an upgrade in terms of the X's and O's and all that, but I think if Jaron Johnson wanted to be here this year, he'd still be here.
And he could be here in a very important role, especially with the way kids are today in terms of, he's almost like the godfather or a father or just a mentor or a little brother or whatever. He can check all those boxes, but I need somebody that can teach the position. Not that he couldn't teach the position. I just don't think his heart was in it because it's very, very important. And there's so many little things you have to do. And I'm not sure he realized that. 100% his decision, and he made a good decision, and so did Andy Avalos.
Winston Venable, another guy I'm talking to about potentially helping out with Bronco Nation News, just to be upfront and completely honest. I think he's a great interview as well. Great guy, former, standout player at Boise State. And I think, again, when you hear him talk football and motivation and stuff, he's a great guy and knows what he's talking about from that standpoint. So I think he'd be another guy that'd be great on a radio show or a podcast that I'm talking to, and we'll see what happens. But with Winston, you can't deny the upgrade in terms of just the experience and just what, the resume. It's nothing against Winston, but you have a chance to bring in a Keith Boniface, all the 1,000-yard rushers that he has, everything he's done, his familiarity with Boise State. I think this was the biggest upgrade in terms of just experience and resume and proven, what they've done going from Winston Venable to Keith Boniface.
I think this is worth at least a victory. And I don't say that about one individual coach when there's 10, 12 coaches and 100 football players on a staff. I think he is that important. Yes, Winston Venable, he checks every single box you just said. This is a major, not only physical and mental upgrade, this is an emotional upgrade for this staff. And Winston Venable bleeds blue. I totally get that. But Keith Boniface had chances to go somewhere else. He said he came to Boise State because it tugged at his heart. He's an emotional guy. He's an emotional coach. He's going to get emotional after it, but he's also the guy responsible for Ajayi, Martin, Harper, Myles Gaskin. Keith Boniface checks every single box. I love the hire. I think he's worth at least one victory alone with this football team.
And he's the running backs coach, the special teams coordinator, and he's also the associate head coach. And we've seen Andy Avalos hit a couple basketball games and things the past, several months. And, Andy and Keith seem pretty tight. It seems like they're really close. And so I think that's going to be a huge addition there to add Keith Bonifay to this running back room. And so, again, Collins, Riddle, Johnson, and Venable are out. Papinga, Potter, Warren, and Bonifay are in. And it's interesting real quickly because you lose Collins and Riddle, who both made pretty good money. And so the two high-price guys coming in are obviously Bonifay and Papinga, and then you lose, Johnson and Venable, who made a little less, and you got to balance that with Potter and Warren. So a lot of times it's balancing the books and making everybody, make it work that wise, as opposed to just, finding the right guy or whatever. You got to fit in your payroll, but Bonifay is still getting paid, I think, $400,000 this year from Washington, and then his salary at Boise State goes up significantly next year. No, I think it's going to be interesting. And so I guess in the final 15 seconds, you think the overall trade is an upgrade, 4 for 4?
I do. And if we're going to have a coaching conversation and an offseason change conversation, let's not forget Ron Collins and Dirk Cutter as well.
Yep.
The best $48,000 that Boise State has ever spent, bringing in an offensive and a defensive senior analyst, giving them a little cash, and letting two coaches coach the coaches. That's never happened at Boise State before. Andy Avalos deserves a massive amount of credit for the way he's changed his coaching staff. Let's see if it pays off this fall.
Well, great discussion, Mike. Appreciate your time again. 4:00 tomorrow, I will join you guys for Bronco Nation News Report, and we'll probably hit on some more of these topics that we've covered all week on the show as well. And appreciate your time. Appreciate JP for helping us get it going, man. And we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, BJ. Appreciate you, bud.
Mike Prater, you can hear him and John Mallory today, 95.3, The Ticket, KTIK.com, the KTIK app, all the great ways you can find them. Right there at online as well. So 1350 AM, 95.3 FM. Thanks for checking out another episode of Bronco Nation News Live. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Jay Tuss is back, and he will join me. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.